from the case of Christian Black, the 25-year-old man who died while in Montgomery.
Earlier today, the attorney representing his family showed the video capturing moments leading up to his death, which has been ruled a homicide by the Montgomery County coroner. 2 News reporter Kajasia Hawkins continues our coverage. She was at that news conference and shares the family's response to the video.
Yeah, Brooke and Jack, this footage just released today may be disturbing for some viewers. It brought the family of Christian Black to tears as they continue to demand justice for his death.
Now every time I see him, knowing I'm going to see him take his last breath again.
The family of Christian Black and the attorneys representing the case at Wright and Schulte say the disturbing video of the incident shows exactly how Christian died of positional asphyxia.
They chose to treat Christian inhumanely because they didn't value him as a human being. Well, we're here today to know that he was somebody. He was valued. You see his family here.
The video starts with Christian Black slamming into walls and doors inside of one of the holding cells. Then you see around 9 Montgomery County Sheriff's deputies rush inside the cell to subdue him. In a matter of minutes, deputies swarm him, tasing and pepper spraying him. Deputies then put Black into a restraint chair and place a spit mask on his head. This is when attorney Michael Wright says that the deputies positioned Black so that he eventually suffocated, leading to his death. For the rest of the video, Black is seemingly unresponsive. Nearly 10 minutes after first being restrained, a nurse takes his blood pressure, and then another medical professional begins to administer CPR. But attorney Michael Wright says that at that point, Christian Black was already dead and deputies failed to act fast. He says that they are now seeking legal action for negligence.
As it relates to how they are handling inmates within this county jail. So we are planning on initiating a lawsuit once we get the rest of the investigation and the information that we need.
And as the family fights for justice, they are remembering Christian and hopes to keep his legacy alive.
I always smile. One of his nicknames was Cheesy because he had such a beautiful smile. Christian didn't die for no reason. There's a reason that he was killed in that chair. So that this has to stop today.
Now, Montgomery County Sheriff Rob Streck responded to today's conference saying in part, quote, "Throughout this tragic situation, I have made every effort to be transparent with Christian's family and the citizens of Montgomery County," end quote. We will have that full statement on our website, WBTN, and right now, Dayton police are investigating the case. Tomorrow, Montgomery County Police Coalition and the family of Christian Black plan to attend the county commission meeting to continue to demand for justice for his life. Reporting live in the studio, Kajasia Hawkins, 2 News.
All right. Peace and blessings, all praises to the Most High. Another inmate in Ohio, specifically Montgomery County, has succumbed to the dereliction, the viciousness, and the animalistic behavior of jail personnel, i.e. deputies. 25-year-old Christian Black was arrested early March 23rd. He evidently left the scene of a crime. He crashed his car, left the scene of the crime, ran, hopped the fence. They said he swam to a pond, and the officers finally got to him. Now, that news reporter said he died in jail, but as it has been ruled a homicide, we can say that our young brother was murdered. Now, I'm going to show you the entire video of what happened in that jail because they skipped the part where they held him on the floor for about 5 minutes. They said, well, officers went in the cell, tased them, and then put him in the chair. But you're going to see about 5 minutes where you can't see what they're doing to that man on the floor. And once again, condolences to the family of Christian Black. And, you know, shout out to his uncle who sent me this information. This case happened again in March 23rd. We haven't heard nothing about it until today. So watch this entire video. Now, you're going to see him in the cell. He's acting kind of wild, kind of upset. But as his lawyer said, he had gotten into it with deputies before he had went into the cell. That's why he is behaving the way he is behaving. But I'm going to let you guys see the video for yourself.
At this point, you can see in the video, Christian's having a crisis, and we'll recognize that the law enforcement does have to get in there and find a way to keep him from harming himself. But our issue begins when they go into that particular cell and they ultimately make a number of errors and decisions that amount to what we believe to be deliberate indifference and unlawful use of force. But I'll let the video speak for itself. But we wanted to make sure we were being transparent with respect to what occurred before the interaction with the correctional officers.
Now you see him bumping his head up against the wall. Now you got 10 deputies in there. He's running. He's banging on the doors. You got 10 deputies. Now they could have easily left him in there and let him calm down. You see that deputy? He kneeing him right there. He kneeing him. They got him by his neck.
We believe that earlier in his admission to the jail, there's some interactions between he and other correctional officers and other individuals who may have contributed to his mind state. But we're still investigating that particular aspect. But there is some evidence to support his mental status at the time that they come into that cell.
Now watch how long they have this man down on the floor, and what are they doing? And you see that officer to bottom right there. He has his by his leg. You're gonna see him bending and twisting his leg in all sorts of position. What are they doing?
And as you all know, the sheriff's office suspended, put 10 officers on administrative paid leave. You can count, I think, 9 officers in this particular video, but there's a total of 10 that are involved as well. And I want you guys to pay attention. Once we change viewpoints, we believe there's a nurse from NAF Care, which provides the medical care for inmates that are in the jail. Pay attention to her conduct and how indifferent she is with respect to what's going on with Christian in this video once we change the vantage point.
Now, I didn't want to interrupt the lawyer, but you saw his leg squirming. You squirm like that when somebody's hurting you, when somebody's doing something to you. And as the lawyer mentioned, they suspended or placed on administrative leave 10 officers. Now, only 9 are in the scene. But you clearly see, like, look at that officer on the bottom. He's bending his leg backwards in an unnatural way. What are they doing to him on the ground? Ask yourself. You see, they skipped all of this part in the news clip. That's what I said. The news be manipulating things. Like what right then and there is probably, whatever they did to him to eventually cause his demise. Now they're saying that he died of positional asphyxiation. That means pretty much suffocated to death because of the position that he was in. Like, what are they doing to this man? You see that officer bending his leg back? These are the cowardly men. And once again, it is 10 white men and 1 black man. So all of you guys that say race doesn't play a factor, just watch this. Now, at this point, you see, I originally thought he had already expired right here. Just because of the way it looks like they're picking up dead weight, as they say. They got the brother by his hair.
Now you'll note the taser nose is still in his stomach at the time all this is occurring. So they tased him and pepper sprayed him in the cell.
Grabbing him by his neck, as the lawyer said.
You can see from the description of this video, it's the post-book mental health area, room 141. So this is where he would have been placed after the prior incident early in the morning.
You can see he's still talking.
So they mentioned he's still talking there. But you see they got him by the neck. He's already in the chair. One guy, they're trying to put the quote-unquote spit mask on him. But as the lawyer mentioned, also this was a mental health unit that he was in. Basically, he was having a mental health episode. And look at it. Look, he's already strapped in the chair. Now they're bending him forward. You see how they're pushing him forward? All of that pressure, that's his unnatural position. They got him bent over so he can barely breathe. They're suffocating him at this very moment. You're watching a live lynching right now. And there's the nurse, I think, who's going to come back out and fail to render medical aid. So at this point, watch when they let him back up. Now, they've already suffocated him to death. Like, you see his arms are behind him and his body is linked forward. With all of those 9 men on him. That is how 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Is what ultimately caused Christian's death. You can see by the pressure that these officers are putting on him. My understanding is that's going to make it almost impossible for him to breathe. In addition to the spit mask and the way that they're holding his neck and his face leading up to this point. So that's the reason for the coroner's findings of homicide by positional asphyxiation.
You're watching these men deliberate. Like, what are they trying to do anyway? How they're going to justify this? Now, this is about 6 or 7 minutes. Within this 6 or 7 minutes, these cowardly, evil, demonic forces, as they say, we fight not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against wickedness, authorities, evil in high places. This is the high place, the jail. These are evil men that just so happen to be white evil men. At this point, they've already suffocated him. He's expired by now. When they finally lift his head up, look how they lift his head up. At this point, our brother is no longer.
I'm going to change camera vantage points to keep in mind these are all simultaneous. What's occurring with the timeline you just viewed.
And there is the nurse.
Christian, unfortunately, seems to be unresponsive.
Yeah, he's dead at this point.
And based on his condition, I want you to pay attention to the indifference with which they treat him as a person.
His head is moving up and pulled back because they have his head strapped.
Yeah, but it dropped. He had no control.
Yeah, he didn't have any control. He's not alive at this point.
And look at them. They know he's not. They're playing with his eyes, pushing his head, not rendering any medical aid.
We believe this woman that you see on the video is one of the NAF care nurses. Jail policy is typically that you have to have a medical professional or staff around at the time that you place somebody in the restraint chair. Up to this point, she was uninvolved in this particular interaction, which we believe potentially is a violation of her medical duty to protect Christian as well.
And we're going to stop it right there. There you saw a live execution, a live lynching of our dear brother Christian Black by these deputies. And once again, you see how the news media skipped from them taking him out of the cell straight to them putting him in the chair. But what happened in between that time? As the lawyer mentioned, he was, when he was put in the chair, the taser was still in his skin. You saw for about 3 or 4 minutes, all of those guys pressing down on him with all of that weight and probably some choking him. And we don't know what they were doing on the floor. We don't know what they were doing to that man on the floor. And also, he was in a mental health unit, as the guy said. So obviously, he was having some sort of mental duress. He had already got into it with the police. And of course, like I always say, when you make them choke you, when you make them chase you, they will beat you. And so then it was said that he got into it with the jailers at the jail. So all of these guys ganged up on him in that cell. 10 guys got him on the ground and did God knows what. Only God knows. And as the lawyer mentioned, anytime that someone's being put in a restraint chair, medical personnel is supposed to be present, and she wasn't. And it was mentioned that, she delayed, very indifferent, giving him medical attention. And then the warden or whoever, the sheriff, talking about, we've been very transparent with the family. You don't have to be transparent. The video speak for itself. So that's those buzzwords they always use. Transparency and a thorough investigation. We saw what we saw. So here is yet another case of people treating inmates as animals, as the lawyer said. There's a scripture that says, remember those that are in prison as if it were you yourself. That's why I sometimes go to the prison and speak. Because even though they're in prison, they're still a person. Even though that man committed a crime, even though he ran from the police, even though he was erratic in his cell, the penalty for that should not be death. But this is not the only incident. In 2023, 19-year-old autistic kid, same thing, died from blunt force trauma to the head. And they said that he was acting erratic and embarrassing, and he was acting like an a-hole. That was their excuse. And this kid, I have to admit, was a white kid. And so it looks like these guys don't discriminate. But I was just sent this video today. The day is May 6th. And this happened on March 23rd. So we have been totally in the blind to this. Now, we all know about the video of our brother, Robert Green, and the other brother up in New York, and the many others that we don't hear about. Once again, this is Ohio. We all know what's going on in Ohio right now with the case of Ryan Hinton and Rodney Hinton Jr. And I've been speaking with a lot of people from Ohio, to my Cincinnati, Dayton, Belton. So many people, and they're saying the same thing. Even a white guy called me and told me about Clearmont. Clearmont is in Ohio. That's where our brother Rodney Hinton is. And he said, yeah, it's known as KKK land. He said he stays where he stays at. He said, we got about 5 black people that live out here, and we love them. And I had to laugh at that. But, even, this white man, kind of admitted, yeah, you got to be careful out here. You know what I mean? You just got to be careful. So, people know what's going on. People are awakening. And so a lot of people are asking for solutions. I'm not going to say. But I know sometimes you got to meet power with power. You got to meet force with equal force. But with that being said, rest in peace to my brother, who was homicided by these police. And so shout out to, the family and, the mother you saw and the father you saw. That has to be a horrific circumstance for them to go to. But y'all see them on the screen, 919-587-7782. I thank y'all for watching the videos, commenting, liking, sharing and subscribing, and also, for all the calls, texts, emails, and correspondences regarding these cases. I really appreciate y'all. Peace and blessings.